I came into the rooms when I was 15. I didn't really take anything seriously back then. I was told to get a sponsor and to work the steps. It just didn't really seem that important to me, and I just wanted to do things my way. I stayed in the rooms throughout the whole time I was using, and I'd be like in and out. I could get up to like 30 days sometimes, and it was horrible. The longest I ever had sober was about 4 months, and that was like the worst 4 months of my life. I was isolating the whole time. I didn't want to be around anybody. I would go to meetings, but after a while, it was hard to sit through them. I'd get really anxious, have a lot of panic attacks. Probably about a year ago is when I decided that I had to be done. I was constantly detoxing the whole time. I wasn't even really using that much because I would use and I'd be so determined to get sober. And so I'd put myself through detox, and then I just did it all on my own. I didn't go to treatment or anything for that. Ecstasy was the first thing I started with. I started going to raves. I just had that feeling when I took my first pill that everything was okay, and that I just felt this really strong sense of freedom. And I felt like I could just be a part of what everybody else was doing. My best friend moved away, and then I feel like I just tried really hard to be cool. When I was 13 is when all of my problems started. That was when I started cutting myself. That was really my first addiction. I just got I don't know, I was feeling all this pain and I didn't really know why. After I took my first pill, I just needed more, and I just couldn't stop. And that's when the phenomenon of craving kicked in for me. I started doing ecstasy every weekend, or as much as I possibly could. After a while, it just kind of stopped working. I had a softball injury a while back where I was prescribed some painkillers, and then so when my friend had heroin, it didn't seem like it would be that big of a deal because I didn't detox off the painkillers, I didn't withdraw or anything. And so when I started using heroin, after I wasn't detoxing the first few times, I thought I could continue doing that. And so I was doing heroin for a while before I started feeling withdrawals. My back started to hurt and I didn't really know what to do, so I did just what anybody would do, and I kept getting high. And I wasn't making the best life choices at that time in my life. I was doing webcam to make money, and I got to this point where that wasn't enough to support my addiction anymore. And so I started looking into other things, but instead of doing that, I decided I would try and get clean. So I went to my dad's house and I detoxed. I was able to stay off heroin for about 6 months. I turned into a blackout drinker and started doing a lot of cocaine. That was the only thing I really knew how to do to stay off the heroin. But eventually it got to a point where it came back into my life. After that, I couldn't stop. I wanted to be clean so badly. For about 5 years, I would get high for a couple days maybe, and it would make me really sick, and so then I decided I have to get sober, and so I'd stay clean for 2 or 3 days, maybe even up to 2 weeks, and then I'd go right back out. And the mental obsession would just completely take over my mind, and I didn't see it. When I first came into the rooms, I was told to get a sponsor and do the steps. I never really wanted to do it. It just seemed like homework. It seemed like some extra deal. But eventually I got to the point where I was just so desperate. I didn't know what else to do, and I finally decided to listen to what everybody was telling me. I found a sponsor, and I started working my steps, and I started going through my 4-step, and I left some stuff out, and I ended up relapsing. And as soon as I opened up to my sponsor about all those things that I was keeping inside, that was when everything changed for me, and I was able to have a spiritual experience, and that was when the mental obsession was removed, and I could literally feel it. That was when I finally started to feel free from, my thoughts and everything. Since I've been sober, I've been able to get a job working in treatment. I'm really grateful to be where I'm at today. I never would have thought I could get 9 months sober, and it doesn't even feel like it's really that long. I never really understood what serenity felt like. I get to feel that today. I've been sober about 9 months. I finally decided to listen to what everybody was telling me. I got that sense of freedom that I wanted so badly.